The obscure Unsolved Mysteries Iceberg is an iceberg that covers unexplained phenomena, conspiracy theories, deaths and disappearances, and other bizarre mysteries. For this video, we've picked what we think are the most interesting entries from the first level of the iceberg. So let's get into it.
Это кадры съемки на мобильный телефон концерта Сергея Шнурова и группы «Рубль» в элитном поселке Горки 3. В разгар выступления в банкетном зале вдруг погас свет. Камера зафиксировала этот момент.
Russian elites with glow-in-the-dark eyes. Posted on the YouTube channel Nuke's Top 5, this strange video made its rounds onto 4chan's X forums. The video shows a Russian party with a lot of rich and famous people. As the lights at the party unexpectedly went out due to a power outage, a couple of the guests are shown to have eyes that glow in the dark. According to the video, the Russian band hired to play at the party suddenly left in a hurry, leaving their instruments behind after witnessing such a scene. Furthermore, several guests corroborate the fact that their eyes actually glowed in the dark, instead of it being a camera trick or a malfunction. Many theories about this phenomenon exist, with the more absurd ones being that the Russian elites are not human but in fact aliens, demons, or reptilians, with other more absurd theories claiming that the glowing eyes are a side effect of cannibalism or consumption of adrenochrome. One of the guests present at the party claims that she was told that the glowing eyes are a side effect of stem cell therapy, which the elites use to stay young. Others point to them wearing contact lenses which might give off the same effect.
Good evening.
Chris Benoit was a former Canadian professional wrestler. From the 22nd of June to the 24th of June, Chris Benoit murdered his wife and 7-year-old son before hanging himself. 14 hours before police would discover the bodies of Benoit and his family, Chris Benoit's Wikipedia article was edited, with the miraculously prophetic edition reading, Chris Benoit was replaced by Johnny Nitro for the ECW Championship, as Benoit was not present due to personal issues stemming from the death of his wife Nancy. The editor of the article later went on to explain that his edit was a huge coincidence and nothing more. His IP was tracked down and police seized his computer equipment, but later claimed that the whole machine elves, first documented by ethnobotanist and psychedelic advocate Terence McKenna, machine elves, or as he calls them, self-transforming elf machines, are entities encountered during DMT trips. Sightings of machine elves have been reported in countless DMT experiences by various people, with many believing DMT to be a doorway into another dimension where these entities reside, due to how real the experience usually feels. Machine elves are often hard to accurately describe as they may take on several appearances. However, many people might liken them in appearance to that of biblical angels. What is similar between these experiences, though, is the feeling of profoundness while in their presence, and the fact that these creatures will usually try to instill some sort of information, usually about the true nature of reality. Another common experience is that the entities would usually speak in a language that is physical and can be seen. During his experience, McKenna claims that the elves were actually able to create objects with their voices. He also claimed that they attempted to teach him this skill. Bodily changes from UFO encounter. An anonymous account given by a woman where she claims that on the 29th of December 2021, at 6 p.m., she had witnessed a UFO, a bright yellow cylinder craft hovering above Interstate 70 east of Denver. First feeling fear, her fear quickly turned to euphoria, and she remembers nothing else from the encounter other than waking up in her bed the next morning. 2 months after the encounter, she claims that she began experiencing strange and seemingly unexplained bodily changes. The moles on her body started to disappear, and months later, the hair on her arms and legs began to change from a medium brown color to light blonde. Later still, the spider veins in her legs disappeared. She also reports having frequent dreams almost every night, where she talks to entities that claim to be intelligent species, which try to confide in her information that she does not understand. This is just one example. There are many other accounts of alien abductees and UFO eyewitnesses being cured of illnesses, having hair or eye color changes, or being left with alien implants under the skin, among other bodily changes. Andrew Basiago is an American lawyer and political activist. who claims that DARPA had achieved time travel on behalf of the US government, along with teleportation. He also claims that Mars is an inhabited planet and that the US has installed a secret presence on Mars using both time travel and teleportation. How Andrew Basiago knows all that, he claims, is that as a child during the late 1960s and early 1970s, he was a participant in Project Pegasus, which was the US time-space exploration program. He claimed that he traveled through time in addition to teleporting to Mars several times in the 1980s, under the CIA's Mars Jump Room program. Now Andy is lobbying the US government to declassify its top-secret teleportation technology, as he believes that it will benefit mankind, along with lobbying for Mars's biology and civilization to be recognized and protected. Who Built the Moon? This entry refers to a book written by Alan Butler and Christopher Knight titled Who Built the Moon? In the book, Knight and Butler claim that almost all the evidence points to the fact that the moon should not exist naturally, and therefore must have been artificially created. They then go on to claim how the moon was essential to the development of life on Earth. After proposing various theories and disproving them, they come to the conclusion that humans from the future must have traveled 4.6 billion years in the past in order to construct the moon, so that there would eventually be life on Earth and we would exist. J.K. Rowling doesn't exist. Put forward by Norwegian film director Nina Grunfeldt, this conspiracy theory states that the famous children's author J.K. Rowling doesn't exist, but is rather a pseudonym, with the woman behind the name being an actress hired by the publishing house, and the books actually being written by a group of ghostwriters. Nina draws some parallels between J.K. Rowling and Carolyn Keene, who wrote the extremely popular Nancy Drew mystery novels. In reality, Carolyn Keene did not exist, but was in fact a pseudonym for a bunch of ghostwriters. Nina claims that further evidence lies in the fact that Rowling's success story is too good to be true, so therefore must have been manufactured to gain sympathy and sell books. She also points to the huge success that the books garnered, even being adapted into a multi-million-dollar movie franchise. Nina claims that such success isn't coincidental and must have been planned. Transported Soldier 1593. The Transported Soldier legend is a folk legend that has been floating around for a while and has been retold several times. The legend claims that on October 24th, 1593, a soldier was guarding the governor's palace in Manila, Philippines, following the assassination of the governor the night before. Suddenly, the soldier began to feel dizzy and exhausted, and so closed his eyes for a bit. A few seconds later, when he opened his eyes again, he found himself transported to Mexico City, thousands of kilometers away. He told the guards there of the assassination of the governor in Manila, news which had not reached them yet. He was then placed in jail for being a deserter and a servant of the devil, but was released months later when news of the governor's death reached them on a galleon from the Philippines, and a passenger on the ship recognized him. Sailor Sea human foot discoveries or severed feet phenomena. Since 20th of August 2007, at least 20 detached human feet have washed up on the coast of the Sailor Sea in British Columbia, Canada, and Washington, along with several other U.S. cities. Most of these feet have been identified and linked to missing persons. According to the authorities, no foul play was involved, with the official explanation being that the detached feet came from people who died either by accidents or suicide. The feet simply detach during the normal decomposition process, with the sneakers serving to preserve them and provide them with enough buoyancy to float ashore. Jetpack Man. At least 5 sightings have been reported from 2020 to 2021 by multiple airline pilots of a man flying a jetpack or a drone shaped like one. Reports usually claim that he or it is usually seen flying at altitudes of around 5,000 feet, an altitude of which jetpacks and drones are rarely flown at. It is unknown whether the sightings are of the same person or drone, but one such sighting, which was recorded by an LAPD helicopter, turned out to be a balloon of Jack Skellington. And so popular theory is that sightings of the jetpack man could actually be of helium balloons. Andy Kaufman fake death. Comedian Andy Kaufman was famous for his elaborate pranks, So when he died from lung cancer in 1984 at just 35 years old, it was no wonder that the rumors that he'd faked his death began to gain popularity. The rumors would only gain more popularity still when Andy's brother Michael would appear at an award show in his brother's honor, claiming that he had received a letter from Andy himself in 1999, 15 years after his death. Michael then introduced a woman claiming to be Andy's 24-year-old daughter, who would claim that her father faked his death to get away from the limelight so that he can be a stay-at-home dad. In 2014, a book written by two of Andy's close friends, titled Andy Kaufman: The Truth Finally, was published, claiming that Kaufman's death was a prank and that he would soon reveal himself, as his upper limit on the prank was 30 years. As of 2023, almost 39 years after his death, Kaufman has yet to appear. The woman who had claimed to be his daughter turned out to be an actress by the name of Alexandra Tatarsky. Some sources claim that Andy's brother Michael had met and recruited her to pose as his brother's daughter. However, Michael disproved such sources, claiming that he was the victim of the hoax. In 2013, responding to these rumors, the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office re-released Kaufman's death certificate to confirm that he was indeed dead. Mystery aerial sounds or skyquakes. A phenomenon observed around the world, skyquakes are booming sounds that originate from the sky. Observers usually compare their sound to that of thunder or cannon fire. No plausible explanations exist for this phenomenon, with many theories existing. The theories range from them being meteors entering the atmosphere and causing sonic booms, gas escaping from the Earth's surface, shallow earthquakes, or the collapse of underwater caves and avalanches. Dead Internet Theory. This theory, mostly put forth by 4chan users, among users of other threads, claims that the majority of the internet now, and from far back as 2010, is mostly barren, with a huge portion of the content on the net, across several websites being produced by AI networks, paid social media influencers, and more. These are all controlled by a few large corporations and governments, in order to hugely influence public opinion and create consumers for specific new products. Evidence for this is how the internet seems sterile and empty, compared to the internet of 2006, 2007, and before. The fact that only just a few mainstream websites exist, compared to before, and the countless reposting of old memes and news articles across various websites from year to year. Also, the fact that many posts on social media are shared, sometimes with the exact same wording across several accounts. Alberto Gordoni. On May 1753, local artisan and gardener in Italy, Alberto Gordoni, was walking through the town square when he suddenly disappeared into thin air in front of a number of witnesses. The crowd began a search for him, but found no ditches or holes he might have fallen into. 22 years later, Alberto Gordoni appeared once again in the same place he had vanished from, seemingly not having aged a day. When he was asked by the townspeople about the events surrounding his disappearance, Gordoni insisted that he had not gone anywhere and that he hadn't felt like he had been gone for 22 years. Years later, Gordoni would confide in a local priest named Mario, telling him what had actually taken place 22 years ago. On the day he disappeared, Gordoni saw a shimmering tunnel of light in front of him, which he then entered. He was suddenly transported to a white and ambiguous world, barren except for several strange mechanisms which Alberto did not understand. One such thing was a small canvas covered with stars and dots, each of which pulsated separately. Gordoni was met by a long creature with long hair who told him that he had fallen through a crack of time and space, and that it would be very difficult for him to return. Alberto asked the creature to be returned, but the creature was in no hurry. The creature began to tell him stories about holes that open in the dark, white drops and thoughts that move at the speed of light, a soul without flesh and a body without a soul, and about flying cities with forever young residents. Gordoni was finally returned to the place he had disappeared from, but was surprised that 22 years had passed since for him he had felt like he was absent for only half an hour. The priest believed Gordoni's story and took him to the place where he had disappeared. As soon as they arrived, Gordoni suddenly disappeared again, never to return. The priest then ordered this place to be fenced off, calling it the Devil's Trap. This story has been shared on various websites and in various anthologies of paranormal phenomena, so it is difficult to pinpoint a clear and accurate historical source for it, if there ever was one in the first place. The Nine Unknown. According to this theory, in 270 BC, the Mauryan Emperor Ashoka decided to form a secret organization known as the Nine Unknown. This organization would consist of 9 of the most knowledgeable scientists and brilliant minds in the empire. His goal was to further and advance crucial knowledge, and at the same time keep this knowledge a secret to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. The 9 people whom he chose each correspond to a certain discipline, which were propaganda, physiology, alchemy, microbiology, sociology, light, gravity, cosmology, and communication. Each member of the 9 was responsible for authoring an all-expansive book on their respective discipline. Whenever one of the members would fall sick or die, or be unable to continue their work, they would be replaced with another suitable candidate, who would continue the previous member's work. The theory then goes on to state that this organization has persisted for more than 2,000 years and exists to this day, but is unheard of due to the secrecy they're sworn to. Many discoveries are attributed to this organization, from the cure to cholera to airplanes. People also claim that they have knowledge more advanced than that of present day, claiming that they are able to communicate with extraterrestrial life, build anti-gravitational machines, cure almost any disease, and transmute lead to gold. They are also said to leak certain crucial information that mankind needs in times of calamity. That's it for the first level of the iceberg. If you enjoyed watching this video, then please like and subscribe. Comment down below if you'd like us to cover the rest of the iceberg.